Hey everyone, welcome to Out of the Reads with me, your host, Natasha Percagelo. Today we're talking about what nobody tells you about your body as we step into motherhood. And our guest on the show today is Melissa Moulton. She is a fellow LCSW and yoga instructor. But Melissa will introduce herself further later. I wanted to get into a segment with you. So let's get into the reads. As you know, that I have started pulling cards on my Instagram page. You may have seen the deck that I've used before, which is the Sacred Creators deck. But this deck is called the Herbal Astrology Oracle, and I really enjoy it. I figured today, before we get started, I'd pull a card. We also do poetry on the show, and I do Poetry Fridays. So if any of you haven't seen the things that I'm discussing right now, whether it's the read pulling or whether it is the Poetry Fridays, follow me on Instagram. It's outofthereads.podcast on Instagram. And you'll be able to see some of those things that we do weekly. Of course, hopefully you're following along on YouTube or maybe on Buzzsprout. There's several different places, but as long as you're able to hear wherever that is, we're super excited about it. So let's get into this. Hopefully you can see the cards as I'm shuffling them. Whoop. And one fell out. And I love when cards fall out, guys, because it's just the universe's way of telling you this is what you need to hear. So I got ashwagandha. Okay. And ashwagandha, it says here, it's card number 54. And I love the imagery. As you can see, it's like, it looks like a bottle, but honestly, it could be a womb for all we know. But it's just really cool. It is a container holding the sun and the moon and vines. Ashwagandha is a plant that a lot of people take for calming the nervous system, stress relief, and everything like that. It says purpose here. So I'm just going to read the little blurb to you in the book. And I never know what I'm going to get, obviously, because I'm doing this live with you. So this was not prepared ahead of time. So I literally have to flip through the book to find it. Upright meaning, finding divine purpose, dharma, finding the future self, receiving a divine gift. The astrological ruler is the North Node and the moon. And let's see, the guidance. When you're living in alignment, there is no separation between your inner and outer realities. It becomes a cohesive expression, therefore granting a feeling of wholeness and completion. Remain open to the mystery of the journey. Stay focused and playful. Keep following the signs. I love that, guys. And our episode today, talking about the body, and sometimes we don't know how our body is going to change, how it's going to react through our motherhood. You might have a great experience. You might have something that is more jarring or feels like it rocks you to the core. But your purpose, it usually manifests along the journey and along the way. So anyway, let's get into the reads with Melissa. Do you want to share our story, or should I?
I think you should share it.
Okay. So Melissa and I know each other because we were connected by someone we mutually know, and was just like, you guys will click. There's a lot in common.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Then we discovered we're both only children. We're both perinatal mental health professionals, LCSWs,
Yeah.
and yoga teachers and prenatal yoga teachers, and have 2 kids, and
Yes.
we could go on. But yeah, there was a
It's
lot of
wild.
synchronicities.
If it were a blind date, we'd be like, this is
Yeah.
it.
I mean, when you're a mom, it's kind of like dating. Trying to find your tribe is kind of like dating.
No, that's so real. I love it. I had
Yeah.
no expectations for us meeting. I was just like, she seems cool. Let's go from there.
Let's try it out. But share what you do, because your birth worker circle is amazing. Like, just how you even started that before we even get into other things.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess right now it's ever evolving. But I would say right now I have a therapy practice called Gray Area Therapy, Jax, and love it. It's so fun. I feel like just so much purpose
Yeah.
doing that. And I also teach prenatal yoga. I was teaching postpartum yoga, but we've put that on pause for a little bit. We will return.
Yes.
But yeah, the circles are really my favorite thing ever.
So
And
amazing.
I we have a birth and postpartum worker circle once a month, and then a pregnancy and infant loss circle once a month.
Mhm.
And then it's kinda turning out to be sort of quarterly, maybe 3 times a year, but the when birth plans change circle.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I don't know if I knew that you did that one, but I love that.
Yeah, and that one's a little different, like, the circles are meant to just be spaces where you're not necessarily, like, teaching a certain thing, but, you're just creating the space for people with some sort of shared experience to gather, and the When Birth Plans Change circle, it's been a 4-part circle so far.
Cool.
So the first one we did was virtual, and then we
Okay.
met in person a 5th time.
So the reason why, okay, so today our theme is, what nobody tells you about your body. And soon after us meeting, like you had a lot go on with your body because you had had your second child not too long before we met.
True.
And then shortly after us meeting and me attending the first birth circle for myself, you were like going through surgery.
You know, you gotta
Yeah,
spice up the postpartum life.
sure. I mean, as if it's not enough. Like just put it
Right.
one more on your tab. Yeah, tell us like what happened with that because I know you had to have your gallbladder removed, right?
Yeah, geese out to the gallbladder.
Yeah.
It allegedly came out of my belly button, but to be honest, I'll never know for sure.
So they
Which
tell me.
so they say. Yeah, just add it to the list of like, even as a birth doula, I've
Yeah.
attended like about 45 births, and I say about because there were a few that I didn't like fully keep track of, and then I'm like, it's a whole thing, but
Yeah.
about 45. And even with that, people I had heard that, yes, it's more common to have gallbladder issues, but the way I was so shook when I am just in the middle of the workday and I just fall to the ground
God.
in such a horrible pain, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "I think I have to go to the hospital." And, you know, and as someone with OCD does, they're like, "Well, this is the end of your life." Those are
Right.
the thoughts
Today's
going
the
on in
day.
my brain.
Yeah.
Today's the day. And so I get there and the ER doctor, came in and basically said, I said, "Oh, can we how fast can we do this? Like I have a baby who doesn't take a bottle at home."
Mhm.
Like I was trying to go in an
Right.
hour. And he's like, "Oh, let me guess. Your baby is between like 3 to 5 months old." And I was like, "Yes."
How
And he
did you
said,
know?
"This is the most common time that we see this." And I'm just sitting here like, of course, obviously, thank you so much for helping me, blah
Right,
blah
right.
blah. But I'm going, if this is that common and that urgent, like infected gallbladder, like it's got to go.
Right.
Why is this not even like one of those sad little pamphlets that you could just be sent home with, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's possible
Right.
the gallbladder could be struggling."
Nothing. I'd
Yeah.
never heard of it. You were the first person I'd ever heard of that had to have that. I remember you saying it's because due to our milk production? Is
The
it something
way the way that the ER doctor explained it to me, so again, I'm no doctor, but he explained that it was the severe drop in estrogen coupled with a copper deficiency.
Right.
Which, again, how am I supposed to know I have a copper deficiency, Which, of course, stresses the urgency of how important, like, postpartum nutrition is and mineral content.
Right.
But again, you can't really like, that's not a standard lab that they test for, is
Yeah,
your
copper?
co
No.
and so, I guess when you're lacking in copper, I could be getting this wrong, but fatty acids are more mobilized in the bloodstream than the gallbladder, like, "I can't do it. Help me."
Right.
And yeah, I had surgery the next day. And I had another procedure done called an ERCP.
So the ERCP that Melissa is talking about is an endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. I'm not exactly sure, not a doctor, disclaimer, but it is a specialized procedure that combines an upper gastrointestinal endoscopy and x rays to diagnose and treat problems in the liver, gallbladder, bile ducts, and pancreas.
So it was like 2 different procedures
Okay.
that went under anesthesia for both. So it was one the first day, then the other one the next day. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a whole situation. So, what's interesting is that I would still take that over my first postpartum experience
Okay.
when I
That's
had
saying something.
yeah,
That is saying something.
that
So,
is.
what did you go through with your first postpartum experience? Inquiring minds wanna know.
Inquiring minds. Well, yeah, and I'll just say this is not to be like a, "Oh my gosh, I did this with no pain meds." Like, I wish that I took the
Mhm.
pain meds, but with the gallbladder surgery, you can't take or the ERCP, you can't take ibuprofen for a week, and so I was just taking Tylenol afterwards, and I'm like, "This is quite possibly the worst thing ever." But anyways, the first postpartum, which is very common for first-time moms, I had a
Mhm.
second-degree tear
Right.
after birth, but then the stitches got infected, and it turned into this whole thing into, it's one of those things where it's like you don't wanna share this with people to scare them, but also to
Right.
validate their experience that, like
Sure. The fine line, right? Between this is
yeah,
my truth, this is what happened to me, so I'm, like, explaining so that
yeah,
awareness, you know?
yeah. Also so that hopefully you don't gaslight yourself like I did to myself, because 'cause I'm like, "I guess every first-time mom feels this way. I guess they all just can't stand up," you know?
We're all just
And
crawling on hands and knees. Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
And it yeah. So, eventually, we got that fixed, but it was a journey
Yeah.
and not the start that I would recommend for people with their first baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you experienced those things, like, but at the same point in time, like you were saying, I had never heard the fact that the ER doctor was like, "Oh, your baby must be between 3 and 5 months." Hence, we know that this is something based on
Yeah,
that period of time that could lead to this. I'd never heard of that. It's like
yeah.
when I lost all my, I mean, it's very trivial in comparison, but,
Right.
postpartum hair loss, like, I didn't know prior to having children that you lost your hair in, like,
Yeah.
sometimes mass quantities. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
thankfully, it
that's
came back, but, like
right. Yes, and that's the thing, it's like working with people all day, whether we'd call it trauma or not, it's still
right.
something you experienced that caught you way off guard,
Yeah.
and it was scary.
Right, and feeling like I had never heard anyone mention these things.
Yeah. Yeah, and just that the whole like, I think moms, for better or for worse, just they overall choose, like, "We're just gonna get through. We're just going," and so
Mhm.
I think sometimes that really, like, hinders the common knowledge of everyone because, once I posted, "Hey, guys, sorry, not gonna be teaching postpartum yoga for a few weeks," I had, like, 3 people message me and say, "Oh my gosh, I had my gallbladder removed postpartum," and I'm like, I
What?
knew you.
That's insane.
Yeah,
You're the only person I've ever talked to who had that.
and this
Wow.
postpartum doula group that I reached out to, like, in desperation from the hospital, I'm like,
Yeah,
"Please make sure my baby can take a bottle." And my husband's great, it was more so my own anxiety, I'm like, "Can
sure.
you just please make sure?" And, like, even they said, "Oh my gosh, like, my family member had their gallbladder out postpartum," and I'm like, "This is, like, a thing that
Yeah.
happened."
That's just it's so mind-boggling to me because, like, just like we're talking about, I mean, it's one of those things that I feel like you're saying, you wanna find the fine line of not scaring,
Right.
but also, like, awareness, so it's like that you're not caught with, like, "Well, I guess this is happening. I guess this is a thing. I don't know if this is a thing, but, like, this is happening to me, so it must be."
Mhm.
You know? But also not, like, the fear mongering of, like, "Oh my god, this could happen to you. You
Right.
need to be vigilant," you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, and it really is a fine line, and I find that the more information, as long as you're not then doing obsessive rituals about it, the better though,
Yeah.
because the number one thing people tell me in trauma therapy is, "I just wish I someone would have said something,"
Mm.
or, "I wish I knew this existed." It wouldn't take away how terrifying or, awful it was, but it's just "Okay, I'm not insane."
Right. 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 The validation that your experience is not to the point of being an outlier outsider. That
Yeah.
you're a part of the whole tapestry of other stories, and some of them sound like yours.
Yeah, and also, like, it makes me think about on a systems level, you know my word, reverence.
Yes.
And
Yes.
been loving this word reverence. And I think if more of our stories are shared, both men and women will really start to acknowledge, my gosh, this whole experience is the wildest thing ever.
For sure.
Like reverence for the process and to go, yeah, like choosing to have a child and give birth and postpartum, it does put your life at risk. And some people don't want to face that that's a reality.
Okay, we also did talk about this earlier,
Love it.
but we talked about, like, our kids too, like, how would you talk to your children about your body and womanhood, and, like, what are they gonna know that maybe either you didn't as a child or you just want them to know?
Yeah, that part is so fascinating to think about because my kids are still very young, 4
Mhm.
and 8 months, but even like with the 4-year-old, we at least for right now, like we just call everything its anatomical name. And even that is really cool to start with because being a birth nerd, I used to watch the Discovery Health channel at age 7 and be like, I'm going to be an OBGYN. And but even then I still didn't no, I didn't grow up to be a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old who knew like, okay, yes, this is the uterus and this is what the fallopian tubes do and blah blah blah. And so I think just starting with that is not only for child safety, but it just helps so much so that you're informed. And God forbid if I can't be there for them in some way, I want them to know what's happening in their body, but also to be a really helpful partner or friend or support person to know. I think we were talking about like teaching your boys to recognize,
Yeah.
like, oh, these are premenstrual signs and
Mhm.
not in a way to make them walk on eggshells, but just to make them aware that, hey, this is a thing that
Yeah.
women do literally every month.
Mhm. It's a sensitive time, and just,
Yeah.
having some understanding around the situation,
Yeah.
and now my boys will come in a lot, on my cycle even, and they'll just be like, "Are you bleeding? Like, is it that time?" They're so curious, and they'll be like, "Oh," and they now know, they're like, "Oh, okay, so if there's blood, there's no baby." And I'm like,
Right.
"Correct. There is blood, there is no baby," and then this is with my 4-year-old, and
Yeah.
then, sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, so if there's no blood, is there a baby?" And I'm like,
Right.
"No, it doesn't always work like that, but,
Right.
if there was long periods of no blood, there might be a baby."
Sure. Sure.
So, that's, like, the association, that he now understands, and he's not, like, squeamish about it? He's not
Yeah.
like, "Ew, mom, that's so gross," he's
Right.
just like, "Okay, like, it's just part of my
Right.
life."
Yeah. The sky is blue,
Right.
period blood is red.
Correct.
Moving
And
on.
that's right, and if there's blood, there's no baby. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When okay, something you made me think of too, also just with our book club that's been so
Yeah.
wonderful is it's really given at least me a space to truly honor what our bodies go through
Yes.
and not in this martyr way, but we've been talking so much about a rite of passage and
Mhm.
it's not, becoming pregnant or giving birth does not have to be a rite of passage, but just the sacredness around it.
Right.
I think it can help so much in preventing like postpartum body image issues.
Mhm.
I think it can just be so preventative for raising boys so they grow up to be men who know that,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, no, like this body is supposed to be nurtured," and for them to know, I mean, bodies are never meant for their consumption at any point, but
Right.
it can be so preventative and so much isolation that I see for women every day.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I really it's been really restorative, and I think to bring exactly like you said, the ritual back, and, like, understanding just the circle of what we're and I think it used to happen more. Just
Yeah,
having time to circle up with other women, like, when we were there this morning at the coffee shop, behind us, like, 2 rows behind us at that, like,
yeah,
makeshift table circle, were all of these
yes,
older women. There
yeah,
was, like, maybe 8 of them who had circled up, and were, like, talking, and we're engaging, and we're holding space for one another in a way that was so beautifully done, and it was so cool to see, like, us in our like, motherhood stage of life and them in the crone stage of life and like how it's still
Yeah.
like necessary in that arc of like womanhood. So I think
Yes.
that's really cool. And it's super cool that you have a daughter to get to impart that to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's honestly, like, truly such a blessing, and I think it can be so healing for so many people too, like, a lot of people, they had parents who were just doing their best,
Yeah,
and oftentimes parents who were doing better than what they were given, and
for
even
sure.
still, the education was lacking, and
Right.
it's just it can be so, so healing to know, "Oh, this thing that happens postpartum is normal," or not
Yeah.
saying getting your gallbladder removed. We would like to
We'd like
nourish
to
your
not have that
mom.
happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's emphasize the paid leave so they can eat, but that's besides the point right here. But yeah, other things where they can just feel like, "Oh, yeah, well, sometimes this happens and sometimes that happens, and one is not better than the other. It's just something that takes place."
Right. Yeah. So with my second son, I had a postpartum doula and she was very holistic, like Ayurvedic technique. She was also a massage therapist. So she'd come in and she would, for an hour and a half, she'd just massage my body with sesame seed oil, which is really heating to the body. And she'd wrap my belly and do all these things that were very ritualistic. And I could still nurse while I was getting like the massage done. And then she'd bring in all this
Yeah.
heating, warming food for me. And I was just
Wow.
like, where has this been?
Yes.
Like the women coming in and taking care of the women who are, and I know postpartum doulaship is a real thing. It's just at that time, I didn't have that the first go around. So the second time I was
Right.
like, I'm getting this somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just felt like that piece, like, this is what has been missing. This is
Yeah.
what we need. This is what makes you feel like you're not falling apart at the seams,
Right.
when you're being held and brought back together, essentially.
Yes, literally and figuratively.
Exactly, exactly. The closing of everything to come back into yourself after having expanded and opened for so long. So
Yeah.
it's so cool, the body, figuratively and literally, like you said.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm. And it makes me excited to be able to pass that on, not just to my kids, but hopefully to their
Yeah.
friends, to other people, even like friends I have who aren't going to have kids or, just the whole spectrum of people to know that, hey, actually, what's weird is not knowing about this.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like,
100%. Thank you for saying that. I've felt that so many times working with postpartum moms in therapy. And like they're saying their stories, which unfortunately their experiences a lot of the times were not positive, and just
yeah,
feeling like, I wish this was a thing that was known about. Like, how do we, and then there would be maybe some psychoeducational piece that we would have in our sessions, but,
yeah.
feeling like they had known that the first time instead of having to be on the back end of that.
Yes, and knowing it before it's a crisis makes all the difference because 'cause you're already
Mhm.
gaslighting yourself. You're sometimes already being gaslit by other people.
Right.
Just to know, "No, my mom's been talking about, yeah, sometimes you feel this way," or, "No, it's very normal to not wanna
Right.
do anything except diaphragmatic breathing for 3 months."
So if you're wondering what diaphragmatic breathing is, it is basically deep belly breathing. If you've ever taken a yoga class or anything like that, you've probably heard about it from there. But it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, so it decreases your stress levels, slows down your heart rate, and really tries to engage your body to relax.
And there's no
Yeah,
shame in that,
right.
the priority is still waking up, nursing, bringing the core back together,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
none of that's bad or weird, there is no timeline.
Right. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I was reading something in a book, well, not obviously, but yes, I was reading something in a book, and it was just talking about different rituals, and, like, it makes me think of, a friend of mine when I was growing up, she had told us when she started her period, because you're in that, like, elementary, middle school time of, like, the transition of, like, now you're gonna start having your period probably soon, and
Yeah.
she I remember her telling us that my mom baked me a cake, like, when I
Yes.
started having my cycle, and I was just like at the time, I didn't understand, and I was
Yeah.
just like, "Your mom baked you a cake? Like,
Right.
what?" You
Yes.
know, because my experience had been very and I think a lot, I think again, it's just there's not a lot of ritual and there's not a lot of signification of like these big monumentous moments anymore in our lives. It's like this is kind of trivial. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
you're a woman or whatever. So my experience was very much like, okay, well, go get what you need and move along.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and so that was just kinda cool. I was reflecting on that when I read that, like, wow, like, now I get it. Like, you wanna mark these occasions. These are big times. You're entering a whole womanhood segment that you're gonna be in for a really long time.
Yes. And like what you were saying about postpartum doulas, where has this been? And it's like indigenous people have been doing this forever.
Exactly.
And it's shocking how disconnected we've become from the ritual. And yeah, and just it makes me think of how closeted a lot of people felt too, like even getting their menstrual cycle. It's like, my gosh, you're in your classroom and you like shove the tampon in your pocket and you
Yeah.
get up to go to
Don't
the
see it.
bathroom.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have to make people like wave
Wave
pads
it
around,
around. Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
but it's if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just,
sure.
yeah, the feeling of things being repressed for so long, to be hidden or that's gross that it's like, well, why is it gross?
Yes.
I mean, I
I may not
understand it's blood.
Well, if the absence of a menstrual cycle means that you are ill,
Right.
then we would like to celebrate this.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We're not telling people to hide when they breathe. We're like, "No, please breathe." Like, that is
Right.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. Underrated, under talked about, and at least, in the confines of like you're saying, your own children or those who you're helping in the circle, just letting them know these things are normal, what to expect again about your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not there's so much nuance with the term normal of, not saying, "Oh my gosh, you're suffering." Well, that's normal. Everyone goes through it. You'll be
Right, right,
fine.
right,
But saying, "No, this is super common, and if it's causing you problems, we should absolutely get you help for that."
right, right, right. Yeah. Thank you for
Versus like,
eloquently putting it.
"Well, once everybody has kids, they pee when they jump." And I'm like, "No, that does not have to be the case."
Right, right. Yeah, that we could go, like, into a whole
Yeah,
'nother thing on all of that for sure.
I'll just take
My
a deep
gosh.
breath.
Yeah, take a deep breath. That's right.
Here we are.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you before you go, like, was there anything that you grieved about your body, in
You
terms
know,
of the
when you s
change?
yeah, when you sent me the questions, I specifically didn't read them
Yeah?
because I didn't wanna get in my head about it and
Yeah.
give you some, like, weirdly polished answer, and I'm glad I didn't read them, to be
That's
honest.
great. That's great. I love it.
Okay. What is something I grieved about my body? What comes to mind first is more so grieving that in order for me to feel, like, very, very present with my baby,
Mhm.
there were things that I used to do, like going to a yoga class at a certain time or like doing functional patterns training or running at this type of schedule that was just not going to happen for at least the first year.
Mhm.
And not that like movement wouldn't happen at all, but just the way in which I liked it to happen. Like I would
Mhm.
wake up, eat a snack, and then I go do this. And sometimes that was not the case. Okay. So what comes to mind is the like, not being able to do things in the order in which I like to do them or the frequency or even, like, the time of day
Yeah.
because especially having the second child,
Mhm.
it was like, okay, we wake up, I can't go eat a snack and then go to this yoga class that I love. Like, maybe I could once a week or twice a
Yeah.
week, but also the whole layers of being a working mom and needing to keep my supply up and like I want to be with my baby in the morning and just the duality of all that. I think I grieve
Mhm.
for sure. I think I do now still.
Yeah.
And I will say the second time around, there's more of a knowing that you do get to do those things again.
Yes. True.
So that's
True.
cool. That's cool. Another thing that comes to mind is more so that I think because of the lack of ritual,
Mhm.
I wasn't prepared for on the front end going, "Oh, my body will never be exactly like this again."
Right. Right.
And I think to have been able to anticipate that and to know, even if it, didn't hit yet, but to logically know, like, yes, my body will not be like 100% this way ever again. And that is a totally normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, just in even hearing you say that, I've never thought about that. Like,
Mhm.
I've never until just now, like, that my body will not be the way it was pre-children ever again.
Yeah.
And even though it may be close or there may be things that are, like, similar in terms of measurements, or a
Yeah.
scale to measure that on, but, like, it's not the same body.
Yes. And as someone who had like a very funky experience with disordered eating and body dysmorphia and all the things,
Mhm.
I will say what I didn't expect was to feel so much better with my body.
I love that, yes,
And I know
yes.
that is not a lot of people's experiences, so I don't say it as a flex. I say it as
No.
pleasant surprise.
It is, and I mean, it's like a pleasant surprise and, like, a blessing to be able to say that,
Yeah.
or to experience that, not just to say it, but to
Yes.
really experience it. Because it's yeah, on the other side of that, you understand from working with women, the discomfort of what it feels like to not enjoy feeling like
Yes.
you like seeing your body or like being in your body. So,
Yeah.
if you can appreciate what it's not only what it's done, but where it's at right now,
Yes.
that's a lot.
Yes, and there's so much nuance to this, but I had the birth of my daughter was like, it was great, but it was in a hospital and I had an epidural, and I remember feeling like very, very shocked as if like birth happened to me.
Mhm.
And the birth of my son was at a birth center and I just felt very supported, and I was like, besides like the fetal ejection reflex.
Hey, it's me again. If you're wondering what the fetal ejection reflex is, it's basically in the latter stages of labor, a pregnant person's body ejects the baby out instead of active pushing. So, kind of like the baby just pops out. And that's what that is.
I'm like, "No, I am, like, in control of this in some way."
Yeah.
I'm feeling everything at least, and I think that also helped boost the feeling of, "Oh my gosh, women are so wild to be able to do this," and it helped me have more reverence for my body too, and
Mhm.
I know that's such a nuanced take because no birth is better than the other. Like,
Right.
we're
Right.
literally birthing life, like, I can't think of a more majestic thing,
Mhm.
and I think, it would be lying to say that you can't leave certain birth experiences feeling better or worse
For sure.
about yourself, or at least at first,
Yeah.
and it's part of the reason why, like, gathering in circles is so pivotal to me because just to hear from other people that, "Oh, I felt this way after this," or that sense of pride, or I felt let down, and we just
Yeah.
need them so bad.
100%. It's such a human experience, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, a human experience in a female body, but it's why there are circles for it. It's why there are, it's why it is talked about or why, women can convene over it. It's just because it really hits in a way that feels like this is big. And like we were
Yes.
saying today, it's like sometimes it's just trivialized. Well, just you're going to do the things in life, right? You're gonna
Right,
check it off the box. You're gonna graduate college, you're gonna get married, you're gonna have kids, and it's
right.
like, it's not just a checkbox, like,
Yes,
these are monumentous things that we, like, reduce to, like, a checkbox,
right.
and it really they are pivotal life shifts for us,
Yes.
as human experience.
And who it isolates even more are the people who experience pregnancy loss or
Right,
infant loss, or they had this, excuse me, infertility journey. And because we don't even have this like shared reverence or even just like baseline respect for women and for birth, there's, people w'ho've experienced that feel even more isolated
right,
because people are like, oh, yeah, well, I just did this. And I'm like, do you realize that's miraculous?
100%. Yeah, I've had some friends recently go through that journey, and being able to witness it and know that for myself, it was, on the other side of the spectrum, it was relatively easy to conceive. Seeing their journey, it's been like so eye-opening and brings so much gratitude to myself to be like, I'm so thankful that I see what they have to go through and what that struggle is for them.
Yes.
So it's really eye-opening, and but bringing everybody into the fold,
Yes.
that we all have a place for whether it was easier or difficult or,
Yes.
it's something that we can all hold space for.
Well,
Well, thanks for listening and stepping out of the reads with me, everyone. Next week, we'll have one of my best friends on the show as we talk about how motherhood changes marriage. Until then, check out outofthereads.com, where you can find links to my book, The Art of Motherhood, as well as bookings for individual coaching and energy reads with me. Also, follow us on Instagram and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. See you next time on Out of the Reads.